The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Good morning and welcome to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host and producer, Kristina, along with my co-host today, Otto and Paula Ewell. Paul and I work together at the town of North Hempstead, Department of Services for the Aging. Paul is a deputy commissioner. Otto is my Friday companion.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes, of course.
What's yesterday?
You know, it was my birthday yesterday.
And what birthday was
The
it?
big
Oh, boy.
40.
Oh, okay.
So we're
Well,
kicking it off. We're celebrating. We're in full celebratory mood today.
You were a baby when you started.
I was.
You must have started at 4 years old.
That's right. See, there we go. This is what I want to hear, everyone. But today, in addition to being my birthday show, is very special because we have Supervisor Jennifer DeSena joining us to talk all about the State of the Town 2025. And Supervisor, this is also your 7th appearance on our show. So lucky number 7. We have like a really good vibes going today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, and good morning and happy birthday.
Thank you. So there's so much to dive in. I mean, I printed out your State of the Town transcript, which was a bazillion pages long.
Yes.
But
it's
so good.
It's big letters,
Yeah,
so
but
that I can read a little bit.
But we have to say, we all, Otto and I were doing the show during your State of the Town, so we
that's
watched
right,
the
you
live
missed it.
transcript.
Oh, okay.
But Paula was there. But Otto and we were so impressed. I really have to say, it was
Yeah.
so clear and concise. And Otto and I were like, it really just got to the nitty gritty. And I'm really excited that you're joining us today to go through all the
You
wonderful.
deserve a
accomplishments.
gold star for getting to the point.
We were
Not dragging it out.
People love a short speech.
Yes.
That's always the favorite speech.
Not
is a short
everybody
one.
gets that, though.
Yes.
And Otto gives you the special gold star because me and Otto love bullet points. So we're like, this was just an all-star.
Well, that's what really, I mean, you want to know what this, like I used to say, if somebody asks you what time it is, you tell them the time.
Yeah.
You don't tell them how to build a
The
watch
history of the
and that it started over in Switzerland somewhere and that, the arms were made by, the next thing you know, a half an hour later, you still don't know what time it was. So
It's hard to listen to one person talk for a long time. And that day is just a time for the community to come together. We've gotten through winter and everyone's excited. It's
It was your birthday too, wasn't it?
it was 2 days after my birthday.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if that was your birthday. Yes.
Yes, it was right. We moved it to March this year, and I discussed
Interesting.
this with Amy Bass of the League of Women Voters several months ago. It had been in January. That's when
Yeah.
a lot of State of the Union, State of that, and Amy suggested let's not have this right at the State of the Union.
Mhm.
Let's move it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah, I think so too.
so that was also your 40th birthday?
Yes, also my 40th birthday. Yes, yes.
I love it. But there was so much, obviously, to go through. And that's why we were so impressed by the speech because, there is so much wonderful things that are going on in North Hempstead that we get the privilege to talk about every Friday. So let's jump in. I know there was a lot of great things. So wherever you would like to begin, Supervisor.
Sure. Well, it's really a celebration of the team because the town of North Hempstead is many people.
Yes.
And so the speech is a good way to remind people of what it is the
Mhm.
town does
Yeah.
and also what the town doesn't
Mhm.
do. The main thing we have to always remember, we're taking tax dollars.
Right.
And so we have to be careful how we use it. We shouldn't be holding too much. And we owe certain services. For instance, our buildings department.
Yeah.
That was something that we talked about a lot because this was a year for celebrating.
Yeah.
We made some changes that are going to help our employees and the public. We switched to a new software called OpenGov that is very well regarded around Long Island. It turned around the town of Hempstead, the town of Huntington, and it's going to just help our staff get their work done quicker.
Mhm.
And time is money.
Yeah.
As everyone says, if you're building something, if you're trying to open a business, time is money.
Mhm.
And so very excited about that. we're also digitizing all the documents. This is
great.
something
That's
that, you know, how do you have an online system if all
Yeah.
the documents aren't online?
Right,
So something that was intended to be done many, many years ago, but it wasn't done.
right.
So it's another way that the work will be easier for our staff to
So
do.
the records will be digitized basically that
They'll be
are in the
scanned.
buildings department?
Yes.
So
they'll-
let me ask you this now then. Does that mean like when it finally happens, I realize it's a slow process,
Mhm.
but would people then be able to go online possibly and get the information
Yes.
about their property?
Yes. Everything should be, you know, searchable and findable
Mhm.
by the property.
That-
We never should be checking multiple
Yeah.
sources when we're trying to get information because we might miss something.
Mhm.
So, so that will
That's
be,
great.
that will help our residents and our businesses. We also have, broken down a wall that has existed there. So now if you try and reach the building department, you won't end at 311.
Mhm.
You will be connected to the building
Yeah,
department.
I think that's great.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
if it's
great.
business hours, a live person
Yeah,
will
definitely.
answer you, transfer you to the inspector you need. You also will now be able to have a pre-meeting. If you're especially for a complex project, we could save a lot of problems
Absolutely.
if we advise the applicant in advance
Yes,
what's the
yeah.
best way to do it. So, so people can come in. It's a new open door philosophy.
Yeah, I think it alleviates so much frustration, because
Yes.
we've all been there, when you're trying to say and you want it done and then it's red tape, it's always, I think it's like when everyone's on the same page, it just takes down
Well, I
so
mean, I
much.
know several small businesses that have gone through a year and 2 years worth of process,
Mm.
and it
That's
cost them a
terrible.
small fortune,
Yes.
and they didn't bring in a penny.
No.
So that's a serious issue. A lot of people going into small businesses are not going in with $1 billion backing them up. So it's a tough thing. So if that type of thing
Mhm.
gets better, that's good for everybody, really.
Mhm.
And it's also time to stop, blame. We don't want to be blaming our staff. We
Yeah.
wanted to
Right, of
remove
course.
some of
Remove
the
obstacles.
hurdles
Yes,
Mhm.
yep.
that were in there. So it was great. We had a huge showing from our building department at the luncheon. So
Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
that was great.
was
It was
really
definitely
nice.
different than other times.
yes,
And you could feel the positive energy.
yes, yes.
Well,
I thought it was a win-win.
finger pointing never
Yeah.
does much good.
Right.
Yeah.
Fixing the problem
Exactly.
is
But
better.
knowing somebody's looking at it and working on it and trying to solve,
Hmm.
instead of that feeling of, oh, I'm just being audited or
Right,
looking for
absolutely.
problems. It was the opposite. You were trying to figure out, where are some shortcomings and how do we make changes? So I think, you could feel it. You could
Right,
feel it from them.
right.
Yeah.
Another topic is you had it at the Harbor Links, and I know
Mhm.
that I went, I
Mhm.
couldn't go, but I did go 2 days before just to take a ride and check it out because
Yeah,
I've
we say he's our man on the street, Otto comes
Well,
back and records
I've golfed
it.
there many times,
Yes.
and I happened to be there when the truck showed up with all the tables and the chairs and whatnot, and there was nobody there, so I was able to walk around. And place is really beautiful now.
Yep.
Yes.
The golf course has always been very nice. I will say a little steep for non-residents, price-wise, but
He's like, then you just have to move to North Hempstead,
right,
that's
move to
it.
North
Problem solved.
but the venue it's a beautiful venue. It's a top shelf type venue.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's where you did your state of the
That's
town.
where we were. And so everybody was able to see that the clubhouse had gotten a facelift.
Yeah.
And our new operator is Kelly Brook of Brook Holdings. And, I'm going to say the woman's touch
Yeah.
is evident everywhere.
Yeah.
She's just done so many really beautiful things. It's all lightened.
Yeah.
A
It's like
lot of-
softer.
Yes.
You don't feel like you're walking into the same club. It has its own feel.
Well, the old carpet is gone.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that
Cigar
was-
smoke or
No,
anything.
right.
But it's funny you should say cigar because there's a room now and it's right off of the grill room area. And it had a big TV because we've just been through March Madness.
Mhm.
Big TV and brown leather couches. It just looks like a
Oh.
great place to hang out. And that didn't exist before. It was
Wow.
basically some sort of closet storage area. And she took that
Yeah.
space and transformed it into something
That's
new.
great.
And it is a cigar room. It does have the
Oh, really?
fan.
There you
in
go.
it.
There's,
So-
I don't
there's a
smoke
separate-
cigars
no,
personally.
me neither. But that does exist now. So there's a couple of bridal suites, And the tent outside, if you've ever been to Harbor Links, if you haven't, you better come and see it. But there is a whole pavilion outside, and she put down a black and white tile
Oh, so
floor.
nice.
It's
Oh, I
very
didn't go out
elegant.
there. Oh, that sounds
Yes,
nice.
and chandeliers, and it's just beautiful.
Well,
So
even people who don't golf, they could go there and like there's a driving range. You can just make believe you know how to golf and hit a few balls. But the venue is just, it's a nice atmosphere. It's very
right,
nice.
you can go to lunch there, I believe every day.
Not the day I was there, but anyhow.
No, not that day. Okay, well,
They were
well,
setting up that
There was
day,
nobody
yes.
there.
It's open now, and the driving range is going to be renovated. It will have 37 stalls, and I believe it's also going to have a second level.
Really?
Wow.
Yes, and it's going to have technology in it that never existed. That's something called like in trace, or something that you can see the
Like the ball
trajectory
goes.
and how far your
Mhm.
ball goes. It'll have heaters in it.
I usually can see it.
He said,
Yeah, I know, right? Mine just dribbles down the range.
I don't have
Yes.
to. Listen,
But it's going to be open late. It'll be open till 9 or 10, or maybe
Wow.
even
Oh,
on the weekends,
wow.
even later PM. So it's
More
going to be
people
a
can
real
get interested.
destination.
Yeah.
There's also a 9-hole course, which I've played and it's very nice.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
have changed the name of that to the lower. So it's sort of the
Oh.
the big course is the upper, and the executive course is the lower.
Oh,
They're renovating the miniature golf course, which really hasn't been.
That's my
Yeah,
sport.
that's
Now
right,
you're
right,
talking
right,
more
right,
my
right,
will.
right,
The
right.
park, it's North Hempstead
That's the
Beach
one.
Park.
Yes, it's no, not across the street. That one has not been in use
Yeah.
for probably
Yeah,
10 years.
A long time.
And that's going to be a much part of a much bigger
Yeah.
project.
Right.
But no, the mini golf at Harbor
Oh, that's
Links
so
was
nice.
damaged
one,
by Superstorm Sandy,
Yeah.
and it hasn't been
that's
changed
why.
since
Oh, that's
then.
I
good.
didn't
I
even
didn't
know
see
they
it.
had.
No,
Yes. Yeah, you know what? It's right by the soccer fields. So the first entrance as you go up, it's in there with the soccer fields.
Right.
But Kelly is building additional facilities too. There's going to be an outdoor beer garden,
Oh,
an
that's so
outdoor
nice.
pizza oven.
Wow.
And these are going to be
And you're
open
gonna be,
late.
and so many people, summertime, because like you
Oh,
are
yeah,
right near
right,
North Hempstead
right,
Beach
yeah.
Park, so
Right.
it's such a nice area.
So it'll be nice for birthday parties, and it's just going to bring our residents
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
a lot
great.
more. And
Great.
that not only is a nice resource for our residents, it's revenue for the
Right.
town.
Exactly. Right.
So this is helping our tax burden.
Wow,
No, it's great.
that's so
I-
that's on my list.
Plan on, I have 2 grandsons that I'll bring there, and we could either do the driving range or the lower course.
Yeah. We
Good
still
stuff.
have a teaching staff there. You know, a lot of the same pros are still there, because people really did love the.
Did I give you like a guarantee that you?
No guarantees. No guarantees. But we are, the other contract had been in place for 27 years and no change in the revenue.
Great.
So we're
That
gonna
doesn't
go,
make
we're
any
going from something around, a $200,000 or $400,000 a year to $18 million over 20 years. That is the
Wow.
projected revenue for the
Yeah,
town.
it's
So
amazing.
this
Yeah.
was a gem
Yeah.
that was buried, and now it's being polished.
That's
It's
great.
really exciting.
Yeah, it's
good.
real-
I'm gonna go.
Yeah.
I know. It's like beer garden pizza sounds great.
Me too, me too.
Sign me up. Mini golf. Sign me up, guys.
We could have a
really.
tournament.
I know. Listen, Otto, we might have to make a date. We'll
Yeah.
go over there.
You could do that.
But just so, and then of course we always promote on this show. There's so many environmental amazing initiatives that North Hempstead does. We always love every time there's something new all the time. And of
Yeah.
course, Otto's very interested in the seedling tree, native trees that you guys are giving away.
I think that's today. I think that's my next stop today is
And
Clark.
Sunday.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Sunday. So get
Yes,
over
he
to
had
Clark
my
Garden.
husband doing some research because my husband does landscaping on like the best one for Otto. So we're doing like a little teamwork, collaborative
Right.
So
thing
it's
here.
on my to-do list.
But let's go over some of the environmental initiatives
Mhm.
since you've been in office.
Well, last year we began planting 1,200 trees. So,
wow.
Trees are
Great.
trees
So
make
right.
North Hempstead beautiful.
Right.
And these are called utilitrees. They are selected so that they don't damage the wires. Unfortunately, we have these overhead wires,
Mm.
but they're designed to not grow too tall to interfere with the wires. Their roots are not supposed to, disturb the
Break up, right,
sidewalks.
yeah.
So they were selected for that, and we also received some grant money to help us with that. So, there had been a tremendous backlog of trees. So we planted a bunch, and we're going to plant another 1,200 this
Wow.
year. So that's nice for the environment. Trees are beautiful. They give us shade, and
Well, trees, I mean, like I'm a tree lover myself, and there's a problem, of course, that some of the trees in North Hempstead are very old,
right.
and some of them are in the way of wires, so
Mhm.
therefore they
Yeah.
get cut, and they become pretty ugly when they're
Mhm.
cut.
They
Yeah,
look
oh, yeah,
terrible.
Yeah, it'll look like big sticks,
Yeah.
So I have witnessed the gradual replacement of those kinds of trees. And frankly, there's one right down the block from me where the sidewalk is like ripped
Yeah.
apart
Yeah.
because of these big
Yeah.
old trees. So the idea of what you call the solitary tree,
Utility?
yeah,
The
Utility.
yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
is, that's
that's a
good
great
thing.
idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, we are going to need to take a quick break before we dive into the rest of the environmental friendly initiatives going on in North Hempstead. After the break, we will continue talking with Supervisor Jennifer DeSena about the State of the Town 2025. You're listening to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
so I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
and I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
and then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. Those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Welcome back to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Liu, along with my co-host, Paula Yule and Otto Los. We're going to jump right back in with Supervisor DeSena, all about the state of the town and the wonderful things going on in North Hempstead. So prior to the break, we were talking about some of the environmental friendly initiatives. I know that we have some rain barrels, and tell us a little bit about that. And it's just really
So
cool stuff.
you can purchase rain barrels at Clark Botanic Garden, and I believe it's on our website also. So yes, why not? Everybody should have a rain barrel. Let's capture that rain. But speaking of capturing the rain, we were very fortunate that a year and a half ago, we received earmark. Senator Schumer was able to get us $3 million towards a gray water recycling plan. And this will be also by Harbor Links. As you know, there's a landfill there, and so rain falls on it. We are going to capture the rain and put it through, some sort of recycling plant, which we'll have to design and build. We're still in the design process, and that is going to be used to irrigate the golf course.
Cool.
Yes, we are the largest user of the Port Washington Water District.
Mhm.
We're using 36 million gallons a
100%.
year on the golf course,
Yeah.
and that's all going to be saved.
Yeah.
So it's better for the environment. It's also going to be cheaper.
Right.
This is going to be another tax savings for the
Right.
residents. So we're very fortunate that we were able to get that. We'll still have to take some money. We'll have to do a little borrowing, and we have to get to 5 million
Yeah.
for the project. But now that is within sight of beginning.
Yeah, and you just think about the long-term savings of it,
Mhm.
once it's up, and it's just, that's what I really mean it. It's so cool about North Hempstead, because there's always just different ways of looking at something,
Right.
and kind of repurposing.
I
as you
think that
said,
we've
that's
been
really cool.
forward thinking there. We
Yeah.
had this project ready, and we actually applied for it for 2 years. I went to Washington DC 2 years in a row to request these funds, and we got it the second time. So we were ready to do it. And once this is done, I think it will be a model for other golf courses around Long Island.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's just it's why not save it? It's really just so
So
incredible.
talking water, then we
Yes.
think about sewers, and there was something pretty good that happened
Yes.
over in Plandome Road.
Yes, this is another exciting environmental initiative. We were able to leverage $5 million that we received from New York State. That has already been used to install the main sewer line under Plandome Road. This was all done through the Great Neck Water Pollution Control District. So that is there, and now we're going to encourage the stores on Plandome Road to connect to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the town is using ARPA funds to give these tenants, to give the store owners a rebate, because there is a cost
to it,
to
yeah.
hooking up. So we are assisting them. We're helping them get this done. It requires an engineer and a plumber,
Mhm.
but can you believe that the businesses on Plandome Road are using cesspools?
No, because I'm traumatized by
Right, right,
cesspools.
right.
I grew
Yes.
up in
Well,
Greenville.
Kristina,
I really,
right.
and I will never forget. I grew up in a 2-family house in Greenville, and my aunt and her kids lived upstairs, and the dreaded cesspool was just
Yes.
always getting backed up, and it was
Right.
like a whole thing. And I had a little tiny brother. Of course, my mom was always terrified James would end up in the.
Oh my gosh.
So that added to the
Yeah.
panic of the day. But I remember it was just such a thing, and I think about, and that a business,
Such a busy road.
it's
So many. It's
So many
amazing.
stores. So
I lived in Manhasset, as you know, for
Yes.
like 25 years. We had 9 people in the house, and the cesspool was like getting a milk delivery. You had to have people come a couple of times a year.
Yeah, that's
it is dreaded when that truck has to come, even if it's not your house, if
Right,
it's on your
exactly.
block, the noise and
Yeah.
the smell is
Right.
terrible.
And then I had the dream of my life. I had to buy an extra cesspool.
Oh,
was
no.
Well, that is
Oh,
not a
God.
nice
Yeah.
investment.
No.
That's
Yeah,
not,
right.
that's
No.
It's
that's
not
not
something
like,
you want to spend
no,
money.
not like buying a new car.
But I mean, if you think about it, that's not really great for what goes on underneath
Right, of
the
course.
earth.
No, it's not.
and how
This
it
is going to.
filters into water and
Exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
we're surrounded by water, and so this is going to benefit everybody all around Manhasset Bay, because unfortunately, these cesspools do leach into the bay,
yeah, that's not
gosh.
fun.
Yes, rather.
and it's expensive for them. The Louis
Even
Diner.
back when I did it, it was expensive, and I hear that these
That was
businesses
about it.
pay a small fortune.
Sure, Louis Diner is paying $75,000 a year to have
Oh
that
my
truck
gosh.
come in every week and pump its
Yeah.
septic
my
system.
Yeah.
Oof.
Wow.
I
That
mean, if you
is-
think
that's
about
right.
it, it's almost like going back to the 1800s.
I know it seems so archaic. Well, you know what? I like that, North Hempstead is, revamping this whole thing. And we had mentioned about the rain barrels and the composter sales. You must place orders, must be placed by the end of the day on Tuesday, April 22nd, and picked up on either Friday, April 25th, or Saturday and Sunday, April 26th and 27th. So just so you have that in mind, you got some time to do that, but it's really great things to do for your house, and I know Dan, our Dan here, is very into the rain barrel concept of it all. So really just great stuff that North Hempstead's
Well,
doing.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
Uh-oh.
Putting you on
right.
the spot. Uh-oh.
This has to do with, you have
It's
a
a good
lovely
spot,
dress on
Supervisor, don't worry.
today.
Oh, it's.
I
It's a
saw
good spot.
a
Not to worry
picture of
about.
you wearing an orange dress at the spring fling. You have a variety
Okay.
of different clothing.
This is our Renaissance
And the
man. I like
question that
that
we're
just pick up
We're
fashion.
all curious about is, how do you manage that? Do you have like a whole room with clothes? And like, I think about, well, what am I going to wear? Like a
Just
big
in
deal
case
here,
there's a
right?
wardrobe.
But you're out in the
It's a-
public at
it's a
different
challenge.
events
Yeah.
all the
Oh
time.
my gosh, let me tell you, it is a challenge. Sometimes I will try and look up this
Right, you went
event that I was there last year, and look up and see, did I wear the same dress? Because especially as spring
In
comes,
season,
you
right.
want to put on a dress with flowers.
Yeah, you
So
could bury it with a
yes,
winter coat.
right. But I'm going to something tonight that's a benefit for Adventures in Learning, and it's a spring soiree. So I had an
Floral
idea of a
dress.
dress,
Right.
and I thought to myself, I wore that last
Oh.
year. So I wore this today, which I know that is recently purchased.
There
So
you
there's no way I wore it last
Well,
year.
I was hysterical when Otto this morning I
Right.
come in, and this is how I know we hang out too much, because
Right,
this is now what's
right,
on
right.
his mouth.
Well, I mean,
Right. Right.
you know, these are
Well, I don't know, I
the-
talked about the show before last week, and he's like, you think the
Well,
like
these are the-
beautiful dresses.
These
and
are the
how does she
nitty gritty.
stitch
Well,
them?"
these are
Like,
the
that's
human
it's
aspects of
Yes.
what you do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a
definitely.
challenge, because I am photographed, and sometimes, I don't even know when the pictures will appear.
Well, you
Right.
got-
And
I
you
wanna-
go to so many, you go to so many things in a day.
I want to
Yeah.
give a plug to a store on Main Street in Port Washington. It's called Pop-Up Boutique.
Ooh,
And
I
it's
like it
owned
already.
by
write it
Chris,
down.
who's a member of the Archangel Michael Church. I got 3 dresses there last week, including the orange one that I wore to
Okay.
spring fling, fling.
Okay, there you
Um,
go, Main
And,
Street.
but these dresses cost $50 or $60
God.
Yes.
because she's getting them wholesale.
Wow.
So, you know,
Oh
it's,
my God.
it's sort of, you
Oh,
know,
I think I've been to
Yes.
the pop-up. I think I actually
Yes.
went in there. I know, and I forgot all about it.
it's right near
I know
that.
exactly where it is.
It's right near what is going to be the
Super
new
cute.
police headquarters on Main Street. So
On Main Street.
everybody
Yeah.
get in there. I mean,
Yeah.
Chris is so helpful. She was bringing one, and now she said that she knows what I like to wear. She's gonna
Oh, that's
Oh, there
keep
you
me
go.
posted. Yes, but the green dress that I wore for the state of the town, I purchased a while ago when Brooks Brothers was closing.
Oh.
But it closed at the Americana, so I got
Did that close?
It did, it did. So I got a discount on it, and I thought to myself, I'm saving this for March.
There you go.
Well, I
St.
mean,
Patrick's
there's
Day.
different colors and everything.
Yes,
Okay.
I know.
I just love because when you framed it out as my, they're saying I want to ask the supervisor. I'm like, what is he going to try and ask? And then he's like, it's about, how does she
The
feel what
dress,
she's
yes.
wearing? And I was,
Well, I
it's
mean,
the greatest question.
truthfully, it could be complicated.
Yeah.
You know?
It is,
Yeah.
But so I also get dresses at Talbot's. I get 40% off
Right,
coupons.
right.
Those,
She's
these,
thrifty.
these dresses can go in the
They
wash.
last- And they last a
Yeah,
long time.
they last
Yeah,
a long
yeah,
time
yeah,
and they can
yeah.
go in the wash. So-
Supervisor
Yeah.
said is now doing tax cuts for North Hempstead, but for herself too. She's thrifty shopper. as
I am
well.
a thrifty shopper.
It's much easier for a man.
It really is.
Oh,
All they
yeah,
need is 2
couple
or 3
suits.
suits.
Well,
Yeah.
Different tie.
I mean,
and-
we don't get into politics, but some
Yes.
people wear the same outfit all the time. And it's,
Look, I just love that you're really clocking what people are wearing,
It's
and
easy.
it's just I really just enjoy it. It's another thing I love about you, for that reason. But in addition, we had mentioned about tax cuts.
Yes.
So I know there were some wonderful tax reductions going on in North Hempstead.
Yes, we were able to give another reduction this year, and we did it very carefully. There was some, someone suggested that we make an additional cut by taking $5 million from the general fund reserve and just putting that towards a cut. But we can't do that. We are required to hold reserves. And even though our North Hempstead rules would let us have a lower reserve, if we took that much money out of reserves, Moody's would downgrade us.
Oh,
And nobody wants to see
no,
that.
Right,
The
right.
highest
And that,
rating.
yes, we have the highest rating. We want to keep that. It helps us to borrow at a low rate, and
Rate,
it and it just it looks good.
Yeah.
So we were able to accomplish the same amount of savings with some careful programs. So one of them is a retirement incentive. Everybody does this. It had been over 15 years since North Hempstead did it. So we now are in a retirement incentive program. Unfortunately, it does mean that some of our staff is going to leave. For instance, speaking of Clark, Bonnie Klein, our
Really?
Yeah.
horticulturist, is going to retire. Yeah, so
Okay.
that's a shame.
Yeah. But
The
someone
thing
else,
is, and
yeah,
that's it allows for
Another-
promotion
Mhm.
of someone else.
yeah,
And so throughout the town,
yeah,
we have people who are ready to be promoted.
right,
And there might be, some new people that we hire in.
yeah,
So it does result in cost savings
Mhm.
to the residents. So
Yeah.
we need to do it.
the tax tip picture, I mean, North Hempstead taxes is just one piece of
That's
the
right.
taxes that people pay. And I know Mary Jo Collins has been going around talking to people about different tax
Yes.
stuff, like
Yes.
filing grievances and
Yes.
whatnot.
She's been explaining how you can challenge your assessment. Because I can lower the town taxes, but your assessment is really going to affect
yeah,
what's the number you pay. So she has created a lot of seminars explaining how you can grieve the valuation. She's also explained the exemptions out there. Some
Yeah,
people
yeah.
might
Yeah,
not
yeah.
be taking advantage of an
a
exemption they're
lot of
entitled
people-
to.
Yeah, because
I
when
think
she was
actually
on
seeing-
art, and I
right.
was like, we've talked about it so much, but it's she explained it so well, and
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much out there that I think people aren't taking advantage of.
Right.
and
You
it's-
just assume that you have
have-
the best.
right.
right,
But for instance, when you turn 65, there's an enhanced star exemption. It's a big difference. It is income that,
Yeah.
limited.
yeah,
So it's not going to be available to everyone. But Mary Jo has been able to give people the, personal answers that they
Yeah.
need to make sure that they are paying as little as required.
yeah,
Well, the enhanced star thing, by the way, people who are in my bracket or even a little younger, you retired 15, 20 years ago and you thought you were bringing in some pretty decent money, and then time marches on,
Right.
and what you were bringing in then is now considered near poverty.
Yeah.
And you would qualify. I think the number's up in the 90,000 category for, to get enhanced star. So if people are listening and you think you're making a halfway decent income,
Yeah.
it's not so halfway decent by
Yeah.
today's standards.
Mhm.
And that number changes each year, doesn't it? Like where
Yeah,
the
the
threshold
level
is
Yes,
right
yeah,
now.
where the
Yeah, so
threshold
it
goes
should
up
always go and
a
ask.
little bit
Yeah.
every year.
And she was great. She
Yeah.
went everywhere.
She went everywhere.
Even when she came to our
Yeah.
advisory meetings,
Yeah.
people would wait at the end to talk to her. So
Well,
I
that's some
think she's
serious
great.
money too, by the way. You can save $1,000, $2,000 a year.
Yeah.
No, and
Yeah.
with the challenging your assessments, and that's something I actually took away. I don't, unfortunately, don't live in North Hempstead, but I took away her, what she was telling us on the show, because we used to pay a law firm to, do our assessments and
Right.
challenge,
I've
right?
done
And,
that.
and then they would get a cut if they did it, and then she was on here and she's like, you don't need to pay
Right.
anyone to
Right.
do this.
They just
Plus,
find,
plus, I was like, oh my God, we don't need
Right.
know to sell.
Right.
So this year we did it ourselves, and it was such an easy process. It
Right.
wasn't like,
I mean, they're basically, the other company is just filling out a form, just
Right.
like you do.
right.
So you might as well fill out
Yeah.
the
Get
form.
half.
They don't have any magic.
Money.
There's
Yeah.
no magic involved.
Right.
No, so these are all, and like, and in addition to that, there's different veterans exam. I mean, there's so many different things that I think people aren't aware of. So it's just, she did a wonderful job, just literally going around everywhere and promoting.
Yeah, she also created a few additional ways to pay.
Right.
So if you
right.
have another way to pay, you're less likely to miss the deadline and then incur a penalty.
Okay, that's yeah. That's
so
good.
great.
Yeah.
So many
100
So-
years ago, I'm talking a long time ago, the town of North Hempstead was a customer of mine.
Really?
Yeah. And I think the
Little did
receiver
you
of
know,
taxes
Otto.
was a guy, Alan Miller.
Mhm.
And this was in the 60s, I guess. And they were using a very archaic system that used key sort cards, which you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But it just flashed through my brain. And I didn't live in North Hempstead at the time, but they were a good customer.
Good.
And
Good.
little
Now, that
here you
system
are.
is long gone, but I'm sure there'll be new systems developed as we go along now. You can pay now online.
Yeah.
Which you couldn't do
Mhm.
a few years back. You have to pay a little extra, but you can do it,
Yeah.
Absolutely. And there's just, we always talk about too, and it's spring. So of course there's such lovely parks in North Hempstead that I always forget the number, but I remember when we had the Parks Department on, I was like, oh my gosh, how are there like this many parks?
I know. I
Because-
think it's 46.
oh, there you go.
Wow.
And it was
Wow,
just,
good.
because it was like, small parks and, larger ones. And, I will always, and I will say my dog is a huge fan of Jerry Pond Park. We always go there, and I spent a lot of time there in high school. And now we and my husband take our doggo there. But it's just so wonderful. And I know Broadway Park has been having some
Yes.
renovation. So what
Yes.
parks do we
So Broadway Park is being renovated and that should be ready for the summer. It'll have a spray pad in it, which
Oh, that's
people love
nice.
spray
Yeah,
pads.
that's
And,
nice.
it's nice. Kids can cool off. They can go there, with their grandparents. You don't need a lifeguard.
Mhm.
Right,
So
that- which is
obviously
another
pools are
challenge.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
pools are
yeah,
very
yeah.
expensive.
Get
So
lifeguards.
Yeah.
Yes.
Getting
So
them
there's
hired.
going to be a spray pad in Bunky Reed Park. We finished a beautiful one in Fushillo Park, and there will be one in Broadway Park. Tully Park has seen a lot of renovations, and I think it might be our most used park. I've been there at 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and the parking lot's
It's
full.
really
All the
wow.
fields being used, but that parking lot is finally
I know it's so
rebuilt.
beautiful.
It
Great.
it's Tully Park is on a landfill, so it would always be a couple of years, and whatever repairs were made to the parking lot,
Yeah,
just stopped.
Well,
So you
it-
still have
Yeah.
these huge holes.
Yeah, it looks great.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
now it's not just a Band-Aid on it. It's been rebuilt, and that should last 30 years.
That's great.
So
There's a whole group of people, my grandson, one of them, who goes to the Broadway Park, and Yes, We Can. It's a
Yeah.
whole basketball
oh yeah,
group, and they play, winner plays against the losers kind
Yeah.
of games. And there's a whole bunch of them that meet at these different parks. So
Yeah, that's so
point of,
nice. Yeah, but
that's another little niche for
Yeah.
users parks.
No, well, that's why. Listen, it's for every age. There's something.
And I
and
remember
it's-
seniors being like leery of when we had things at Tully
right.
because
Afraid
the
to walk in
park,
the parking lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
and so it was like, well, maybe we shouldn't use Tully for this, but now we use
Yeah.
Tully all the time.
See,
It's
I'm going
great.
to make a request or a suggestion.
What?
Okay.
I think I've talked to you about it. There's 3 big fields there, softball fields, 2 like Little League softball, big baseball field. And they are underutilized in my
Yes.
judgment, all right? Because I walk there a lot and very, very rarely do I see anybody playing there. You know, kids nowadays, if it's not organized, they're not going to be there. How about putting like a bocce ball court or some things like that?
Oh, I was putting in personal
Sure,
requests.
sure. I'll speak to Kelly Gillen, our commissioner, about that. I know something else that has been considered is putting a cricket field there because it's a very, very popular
I
sport.
think that would be a great
Yeah,
idea
yes.
because the 3 fields are, if they were condensed into 2, I don't think it would be a big loss, to be blunt about it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
we're meeting next week about starting like a walking program there.
Oh,
A
in
senior
Tubman?
walking, yeah.
Yes, we were just.
I
My
walk there
nurses
a lot.
know, I know
Press.
you do. So
Yeah.
we want to get over there and
Yeah.
use it.
Well, after the break, we will continue talking with Supervisor Jennifer DeSena all about the state of the town 2025. You're listening to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio, or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
Welcome back to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Liu, along with my co-host, Paula Ewell and Otto Los. We're jumping right back in with Supervisor Jennifer DeSena, all about the state of the town 2025. So in this, obviously, there's been so many accomplishments. What are your hopes? This was your 3rd state of the town, or your
This was my
fourth,
fourth.
right? Which we couldn't believe. We were like,
Couldn't
"How's
either."
that?" It's like, how did that happen? Is there anything that you personally, what are your goals for beyond and what's to come for North Hempstead?
Wow, that's a big,
Yeah.
big question. You know, I'm very proud of the team that we have. I have a couple of new women commissioners who are
Lovely,
local.
yeah.
You know, our DPW commissioner, first time ever a woman.
So great.
She's an engineer, Kristen Selesky. She lives in Port Washington, and so she's raising her family there, and she's able to give back to the community. So I know that she is looking forward to us doing something with Bar Beach or North Hempstead Beach Park. Oh, by the way, we're going to bring the mini triathlon back to Bar Beach.
Oh,
This was there for several years. I think during COVID, maybe management of it changed, but it sort of
coming
dropped
back.
off. But it's back this year, June 22nd.
Oh,
All
wow.
you mini triathlon people, sign up. I'll be there.
Are
that's
you
so
going
great.
to be
I'm
in
going to
it?
do it. Yes,
Are
I'm
you?
going
Great.
to. You know, I love a challenge.
Yeah.
So my first year as supervisor, I did the mini triathlon at the town of Oyster Bay and the town of Hempstead.
Wow.
So I think doing all 3 in 1 year would be
Yeah, we-
insane, and I'm not. I am
See, I'm
not
that
doing that.
crazy.
I'm not doing that. But I will try and do our June 22nd mini
All right,
triathlon.
that's another put you on the spot
That's right.
question.
Oh,
Yes, yes.
In order to do a mini triathlon, you can't just sit here all day and in your office all day and then go and be in the mini triathlon. So how do you
Yes, you
find the
can.
time?
You can. It's a mental challenge. No,
Um,
I will tell you, I
You
don't
don't train for it?
No, I
Really?
don't advocate doing what I do because I.
It was like saying not to do.
I
The old
do
adage.
not advocate.
No, I have a friend who likes to do these races with me, Rachel Fox, and she's a librarian and she's unbelievably organized and she always has a training plan and a list of equipment, and I just don't. My equipment is my sneakers, and I actually borrow her wife's bicycle, and they like bring the bicycle for me to the race. So I don't even have a bicycle.
Yeah.
Her wife Patricia is our road crew. So but it's just fun. I mean,
Well,
if
how
it's a triathlon, it's a half a mile in the water. It's
A half a mile swim?
half a mile swim. Yes.
Okay, and
Which, you know,
And
if you don't swim, then obviously don't do that.
Right.
no.
Don't do it.
Good
We
idea.
have lifeguards there, and the Port Washington Fire Department will be there for us. There are lifeguards, but it's very calm. It's
Is
a
that
half-
all you do, swim?
no, it's a half mile swim. Then it's probably about a 10-mile bike ride,
Mm.
and then 5K run. So
right.
that is the
Wow.
hardest
Yeah,
part
yeah,
because your
yeah.
legs are like cement at
yeah,
that point.
yeah.
You get off the bike and you have to start running 3
Yeah.
miles.
Yeah.
But
With
you know,
no
it's
training.
with no training.
That's
No, with
tricky,
no
but
training.
You run, you're a runner though, right?
I
Are
wish,
you running?
yes, I
Yeah.
like to run.
Oh, you like to
Unfortunately, I
run.
haven't been running enough.
Yeah.
You know, you need time to
Yeah, right, right.
You need time
You
to
need
run.
that time.
There's always an
Right.
excuse. Oh, I
Well,
have
I
an
mean,
early morning thing.
Yeah.
One of the things I don't think people get all the time is how much sacrifice and
Yeah.
time
Mhm.
is required
You have to be a
do
public
what you
servant.
do.
Absolutely.
Honestly, it is hard. And every now and then I think, wow, I work 7 days a week.
Yeah.
I'm learning how to manage my time a little bit better. And but it's exciting too. I don't want to
Yeah.
miss anything.
Yeah.
You know, fear of missing out.
Yeah.
It's a real
Yeah.
thing.
I see you go
Yeah.
to a lot of
I
events,
know.
so
And you know, I'll talk to my parents and they'll say, why don't you take time for yourself?
Right.
Because then I'm
This
gonna
is-
miss
Something,
something.
right.
I don't want to miss
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And
oh,
And it's all
Yeah.
good stuff.
it's good
You go to good stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
Fire
yeah.
department dinner.
And you're supporting so many good causes
Yes.
too.
I
And
mean,
yeah.
Look at what our fire
Crazy.
departments do. They're
I know, they're
volunteers.
volunteer- yep.
They're volunteers. They go to so many meetings every week.
Yeah.
Multiple
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah.
They train, they get up in the middle of the night. That's that's hard.
Rough,
That's
yeah.
public service. So I get invited to fabulous places
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
get to celebrate. It's funny because this spring it's all about renewal and there've been a lot of religious services,
Yeah.
which is nice. We
We have
just
great diversity.
Yeah.
such
There's so much.
diversity. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah.
the Hindu holiday of Holi. We just finished Ramadan. Passover is coming. It's just a lot of great events. I can't miss anything.
I'd like to give a little positive plug to the volunteer firemen. My
Yes.
son was 25 years in Manhasset, turned out as a captain, and then he moved to Pennsylvania, so that was the end of that. But I know there's a shortage in all
Yes.
areas to get volunteers to be firemen. And I don't think people truly respect what is being done. Like there's this image, they have a nice clubhouse that they can hang out in some places.
Yeah.
And yeah, they do have a place they can go, but they're there for a
But they're
reason.
there. They're
Right.
hanging
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
You're right,
and they're
right,
entitled
right.
to a little
Absolutely.
enjoyment out of
Of
the
course,
whole.
they should have a comfortable place to sit
Exactly.
when they're on the job. When they're waiting
But
to help
I'm
us.
saying that, if anybody has anybody who's got any interest, they should try to volunteer.
And I would encourage young people to do it. If you are a volunteer with the fire service, you can get free college at Nassau
Mhm.
Community. So, it's a very smart way to
They
get
actually
college
get a
paid for.
small pension after 25 years or something like that. Uh,
You're spending time with the greatest role models,
Yeah.
these
Yeah,
with
they're
the
good
more
guys.
senior fire.
When you need them, they're there.
Yeah, the camaraderie
it's
is a big
amazing.
thing.
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
a
I
whole
happen to be
family.
Yeah.
tag along with some of the
Yeah.
camaraderie because of our son. And, people just have to understand that they're volunteering. And this is, there's a lot of serious stuff that takes place. Fires don't get put out by themselves. Ambulances don't get there without usually somebody from the fire department being involved. So anyhow, Paul,
Mhm.
whoever has somebody that could volunteer.
It's
volunteer.
very, very patriotic. This is really probably one of the oldest ways to serve your country.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So what else is your hopes for North Hempstead that you want to see, you'd like to accomplish? I mean, there's been so many already. I could only.
Well, I think that what shows the best are our parks, and when families move here, they want to have a place to bring their family.
Yeah.
We're entering concert season, so
Yeah,
there's going to
that's
be so
right.
many fun things to do, movies at night, the concerts. But North Hempstead, it was voted 15th best place to
That's
live in the
amazing.
whole
Amazing.
country.
It's just
Incredible. I mean,
amazing.
that's
Yes.
just such an incredible.
Yes,
What-
and I give a lot of credit to our school districts. We have some of
Yeah.
the best school districts in the whole state right here in North Hempstead. But the idea is that when people choose to live here, they want a beautiful neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I would like to see North Hempstead Beach
Yeah.
Park
Yeah.
Yeah.
really at its potential. That
Yeah.
has not been addressed in 15 years since the county gave its Beach to North
It
Hempstead.
Yeah.
used to be a super active park.
Yeah, well, there it is
Yeah,
still.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
In fact, I stopped by we had a stop event last Saturday morning, a
Mhm.
take back event.
Otto was there.
Otto,
Otto
you were there? Yeah. So I didn't,
Shredded.
In around town.
I didn't bring anything
Right.
to get rid of. But I just drove through to say hi to everybody. And boy, that
Yeah.
was the 70-degree day.
Oh,
North
beautiful.
Hempstead Beach
People
Park
got
was
out.
packed,
Mhm.
Yeah.
packed with people walking their dogs.
I actually was
Yeah.
walking
You were good. I
after
might have seen you.
that shredding.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
It really is because, and then my dog is a fan of that as well, of North Hempstead Beach Park. But I remember when we would always go there, and it was Bar Beach at the time, wasn't North
Yes.
Hempstead Beach
I
Park
still
yet.
call it
Yeah.
Bar
Yeah, I
Beach.
know. I would
Right,
say
right.
People
it.
too. Yeah.
There's
But it
two
is great.
serious topics.
Oh.
One of them is about cannabis and substance abuse.
Yeah. He's like, let's talk shoes.
Yeah.
No, cannabis and substance abuse, and the other one is FAA.
Okay.
For the planes,
Those
right.
are two
Right.
topics I know you've had a lot of.
Right. This goes to quality of life.
Mhm.
So FAA, we did finally commence a lawsuit. We joined with the town of Hempstead
Mhm.
because you could have
Yeah.
we've
It's
had
awful.
millions
Yeah,
of committee
yes.
meetings
Yeah.
over the years.
And nothing
The
happens.
planes are lower and
Yeah.
lower
Yeah.
and closer together. So we're going to force they didn't respond to our first request. So this will force them to assess the noise pollution and the environmental pollution that they are causing. And then on the cannabis stores, everybody knows it's legal.
Yeah.
It's legal in New York, but when they created this law during the COVID pandemic,
Yeah.
by the way,
Oh.
let's all
Oh my
smoke
gosh,
more
really?
marijuana.
Mhm.
Um,
I didn't realize
they allowed municipalities to opt out, and there are good reasons to opt out. You don't want this marketing around your kids because it is not good for kids. And this is something that never gets said when we talk
Right.
about marijuana. It's very
The
dangerous.
downsides, right.
Yes. It's not a good thing. It's not something
No.
that we want to
No,
promote.
right,
Sure, we wanted it decriminalized,
Mhm.
right.
but
People
we
shouldn't go
don't
to
need to
jail for-
promote
right,
it because
Correct.
you should not be driving if you ever use marijuana. You
right.
don't even know. It can't be tested. The police can't test if you're impaired.
Right.
So it's the potency varies. People don't understand when they eat a gummy
Right. How
the
much
impact
sick
it's
they
going
can
to
get.
have.
Yeah,
When are they safe to drive again? They don't know.
right.
So we were allowed to opt out. We did opt out, and there should have been some protection in there for communities that legally opted out. Why should we have a long row of marijuana stores looking at us
Mhm.
across the street?
In
You know,
Queens,
in
right?
Queens.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
they're in Queens. There's nothing I can do about it,
Right.
but I have asked our state legislators to please put a buffer zone around municipalities that were legally allowed to opt out.
Right.
But
Wasn't it
they
just like a quarter
probably-
of a mile? You
Quarter
asked
of a
it.
mile.
It was like
Yeah,
a
it wasn't-
s-
Right.
like not much, not a lot to ask.
Yeah,
No.
But
just
is
spread them
there-
out a little bit.
Mhm.
But there probably is very little hope of shutting down the ones that are there.
I don't
No,
know.
there's probably we're not going to be able to shut
Yeah, I
down
mean,
those.
they're there, they're there.
But we have now identified a problem. And so we
Mm-hmm.
can and should address the problem before it becomes worse.
Right.
Mhm.
It's not good for the Queens neighborhood either to have a
Right,
whole
right,
strip of
Yeah.
marijuana
Drug
stores.
Right.
It's going to change the neighborhood.
And all the work to teach kids about, how dangerous it can be. And then you have it so accessible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's-
Unfortunately, you can tell that to kids.
No, I
and-
know, but
And they sort
Yeah.
of, some percentage of them are gonna think, well, that's not for me.
yeah,
Never gonna happen to me.
yeah,
Once,
right.
once the state legalized it, it lowered the sense of danger for everyone, for
Mhm.
parents and kids. You say, oh, well, it's legal. How bad can it be? It's
It's
still
still
very
bad.
bad, and we're not doing a good enough job educating
Mm.
kids. This will prevent you from making memories. So how are you going to do in high school and college if you're using marijuana and you can't form memories?
Mhm.
So, I always like to warn parents, and obviously there's also fentanyl that's out there,
Yeah,
which is
scary, yeah.
any drug use. And by the way, saying that legal stores are going to eliminate the illegal market is just wrong. It's been proven wrong in
right.
all the
No
states
way.
that legalized before New York. When you increase the demand, you increase the supply,
Mhm.
and that's going for both legal and illegal. So I hope that the state will take this request seriously because it's all of Nassau County that made
Right.
this decision. We're concerned about impaired driving and we're concerned about marketing to our kids.
Right.
That's the whole border of
Yes.
Queens, really,
Mhm,
all the way
mhm.
down.
Right. All the way down Hempstead.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, right.
The other end is not too bad, I guess, the Nassau Suffolk border.
In Suffolk County, there are a few towns that opted in.
And
And so we'll be able to learn from them.
Mm.
We'll be able to see what
Yeah, right.
happens there.
Mm.
But there's just too much at stake, and it's. I hope the state will correct this what I see as a mistake in the law.
I hope so too.
Mhm.
FAA, again, the Tully thing. Some of the planes are so low, I can actually read all the small letters on the plane.
Otto used to deny exam.
I'm serious.
That's
Yeah.
wow.
No, I
That's
know
really
a lot of people say that, and we have a noise monitor in Tully Park now
Oh, really?
Oh
to
my
collect that
So I
data.
can't be roaring when I'm walking.
Yeah, don't
Like,
go
oh,
by
it's
that.
Otto. Yeah.
Yes, I have.
Otto causing a ruckus again.
I mean, it's disturbing. I've been out there at the pickleball courts there, and it's very loud. But meanwhile, what if you're a homeowner there?
Right.
Yeah.
You're trying to sit in your backyard.
And this
or
has been going
you can
on.
do it in the house.
I mean,
too.
you remember, like
Yeah.
15 years now, we've been
Yeah.
like talking about this at
Yeah.
advisory committees. And I remember in
Right.
Roslyn, they were bringing it up a lot about
Mhm.
like the planes and the quality. And it's just,
And it just gets
it just gets worse
Yeah.
and worse
Yeah.
and worse. And you
Yeah.
don't, you take it for granted sometimes, but then it really is. You get to a point, especially when you're in that area, that you're like, oh
Right.
my gosh.
You can't have a conversation in your backyard.
Yeah.
So that's really affected
Yeah,
your
that's
investment
true.
and your quality of life.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Wow. Well, really amazing stuff. Otto, do you, my friend, have any questions?
I
know-
do have
yes,
another
I don't.
one.
Yes.
I'd like to have the stop sign franchise for North Hempstead.
Yeah.
The bus patrol.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
This is something that will hopefully educate people and then not be as needed, because if you get one of those tickets for $250,
Is that what it is?
yeah,
But they have to give them out.
right.
well, they'll get the ticket in the mail. People review the videos.
Yeah.
So, if it looks like it wasn't really a violation, that ticket might not go out. But if you pay one of those one time,
You're
you
not gonna
hopefully
do it
aren't going to
again.
do it
No.
again.
Yeah.
So
What I'm hearing is there are stop signs where there are videos.
the camera is on the stop sign.
Yeah.
Really?
And so it
Hmm.
would film. And here's the thing, if it's even close in your mind, it's coming out,
Yeah.
Just stop,
should I
yeah.
try and go?
Down into it. No,
Don't speed
right,
around it.
right.
Yeah. Right.
I
Just
mean,
stop.
I
It's
think we
common
saw
sense
this
too,
happen
yeah.
even with the red light cameras.
Yes.
Oh.
When you
Yeah.
see a yellow
Right.
light now, you don't speed up
No,
anymore.
it's
No,
it's so
it's-
true. It
I'm
actually
so
changes-
afraid of red
yeah.
lights.
Yeah, it's true.
I have like 5 driving to work, and I'm always worried who's behind me that's gonna like.
That's right, you
Because
do.
I like start to gradually. I'm like, I'm not gonna make that.
Right.
But
I've never gotten a ticket though, so I'm doing something right.
this is not a political show, but things like erratic driving and speeding and tailgating and whatever. I'm really a proponent that why not have cameras that can catch people who are doing that?
I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
Anything that's
Yeah.
going to make our drivers safer
Yeah.
is a
Right.
good thing, because we all know there's too much distracted
Right.
driving going on.
Yeah.
And this is not political at all.
Yeah,
No,
Our
no,
thing is
no,
about
no.
safety.
Human,
Yeah.
Yes.
safety.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So many people, you look, they're literally, the car's going and their head is down, reading.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
but
why you
then-
should sign up for an
Time.
ARP North
you're
Hempstead
right.
driving class.
You
And
are
we always say, I swear by the defensive driving classes, you learn something new every
The
time.
problem is the people who take that are not the ones who are causing the
right,
havoc.
People that take it
Yeah.
still might want to get their tickets
The tail-
down.
the
They
tailgater.
might have a lot of tickets and they want to take down the price, so they should take it.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
the
Get a reduction in your
tailgater-
insurance too.
Tailgaters, people who don't use signals, people who turn, change lanes
Yeah.
with 2 inches in front of the
Otto,
car.
we're just gonna have to give you a badge out there, and you're gonna have to make the streets safe of North.
Well, I think
Hempstead.
it's
That's it.
education,
Yeah.
and Newsday just had a whole thing about all
Oh
the
gosh, the number
uh,
of fatalities.
fatalities, yeah,
It's so
and
sad.
accidents in Long Island.
It's awful.
It's pretty scary. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah.
but it's understandable when you drive like we all do.
I mean,
You see a lot
you're
of
talking
people-
about changing a family.
Yeah.
A tragedy like that, especially when you lose a child,
Yeah.
and now when I see one of these news stories, I remember when this happened in Manhasset and happened in Roslyn.
Yeah.
It just changes
It
everything.
changes, yeah, the whole.
Yeah.
And you hope that people will realize your car is a lethal weapon.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. My
human-
daughter was hit by a car on Hempstead Turnpike when she
I'll
was
never forget
14.
that, yeah.
Yeah,
Who was?
Her
My
daughter.
daughter.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank the Lord she's
It's like
okay.
a
but it was-
76-year-old, yeah. So
But there's so much going on in North Hempstead. You can call 311-516-869, 601 to get all the information. Sign up for the newsletters because those are the Bibles of North Hempstead. I would like to thank Supervisor Jennifer DeSena for joining us today and just talking about all the wonderful stuff that is going on. I'd like to thank everyone who listened to us. You're listening to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio.